Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I'm going to show y'all how I rig my poles up when I go to the pier. So right now it's the end of June, so that means kings, maybe a cobia, some Spanish, and then trout in the surf and maybe some redfish in the surf, and maybe even bull reds running the beach or anything. You kind of got to be ready for a little bit of everything. I'm kind of fortunate because I have a gazillion rods, and that's kind of how it is. You got to be ready for, okay, here comes some jacks. You got to be ready to grab a particular pole for that. Might be an opportunity for a king here. You got to grab your king rod. Or hey, there's a cobia. I mean, so you kind of got to be ready for a little bit of everything. As far as kings, what I'm going to use is a 4X strong treble hook. Just do some wire. This is probably like 40-pound wire. This is probably a little bit more wire than you need. This is about a little over a foot. And then I've got probably a 40-pound mono leader. I got about probably 3 foot of this. As far as what I'm going to use bait with that, I'm going to take just basically a junky old rod. This is basically my bait rod. I got a snap swivel on here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to use that with my ribbon. So this ribbon is just kind of a gill net with a ribbon through it. That's what I kind of prefer to catch my bait with. Some guys will use sabiki. I usually have better luck with the ribbon rig, so that's what I use. But you got to have a rod just for that. Also, for kings and jacks or something, I have, this is a big old X-wrap with, I don't know, I probably got 8 inches of wire on here. And then once again, a 40-pound leader, probably. I got about 4 or 5 feet of this on there. And as far as this wire, like I said, it's about 40-pound wire, so not super heavy. And then I use a haywire twist to connect my wires. Then I'm going to have a cobia jig tied on. You're going to see everybody's going to have a cobia jig tied on, obviously to catch a cobia, but you can catch a jack or a king on that as well. That is, I don't have any wire on with this one. Cobia aren't going to bite me off, but a king definitely will. I think I've got 80-pound mono on that one. And then as far as like Spanish rigs, I usually have a couple different Spanish rigs. This is the infamous bubble rig. You'll see a lot of people using these. Basically, you know, a lot of times people have a straw on them. These are some that I made myself with just a piece of, I guess that's rubber tubing. This is actually stuff for your sunglasses. And I took a particular type of treble hook with a spinner on the end, just to give it a little extra flash. These are kind of, I wouldn't say looked down upon by like some of the locals. They call them a tourist rig. But hey, they catch fish. And then of course, I'm gonna have a gotcha. That's gonna be kind of another go-to for Spanish. A gotcha with probably, I think I just got about 20-pound mono on here. Usually I like to use 30, but sometimes if I'm having a problem catching any, I'll switch down to 20. And then I've got a kind of like a high-low rig set up here. I'll use this for Spanish if they're close enough that I can cast out there and get them. If I get bit off of one of these rigs, it doesn't cost me a lot of money. These are just a couple 1/4 ounce jig heads with some matrix shads. Pretty cheap setup there, and I've got 30-pound mono here to protect from the teeth. Last thing is, a lot of times when I go out, especially this time of year, the trout are in the surf, I'll take about a dozen shrimp with me, and then I'm just gonna have a Carolina rig on here with a circle hook and maybe a 1/4 ounce weight or so on there, egg sinker. I'll drift live shrimp in the surf and try to catch a trout or a redfish. So as far as lures, I'll take my X-wrap box. If the kings are biting, I can't get any live bait, I'll use an X-wrap. This is basically a box of giant swim bait, so I'll take that in case, you know, like there's some jacks or maybe some bull reds that come along. So. And then of course I'll take my box that's nothing but spoons and gotchas and all the other Spanish mackerel type gear that I would want. So I hope that helps you guys. If you all are headed to the pier, you kind of have an idea of what to rig up for. Please subscribe and we'll see you next time.